This is not a shortcut I would use.
You are probably editing much more slowly.
Maybe I will start using it. All right, Tyler Stalman's Hot Top Tips. Hot Top Tips. Hot Top Tips. 10 essential tips for Final Cut Pro from Tyler Stalman. So, I've got about 15 minutes. Let's see what these tips are all about. I've been using Final Cut Pro for the last 6-7 years. I pride myself on the tips that I'm able to produce. Let's see what Tyler has to offer.
When do you want to create a new library versus adding to an existing one? The word library implies that it's going to hold on to a lot of different projects. Like, a library.
Never thought about it like that.
Would keep the projects inside of your library all related, so they're all sharing footage.
Using the same footage, but creating content for Instagram, for TikTok, for YouTube, anywhere else, or client work, I would keep all of that in the same library. So I'd recommend this, keep it in the same library, and then just exporting your different types of footage, different edits in each individual project.
So here, I'm going to import everything. I am going to leave files in place.
Always do that. So here he's saying when you import files, either copy them to the library or leave files in place. Always leave files in place, especially if you're going to keep them all consolidated in the same spot. That way you're not duplicating the footage inside your project.
I'm going to select keywords from folders. This is going to take the title of each folder and use it as a keyword.
Interestingly, I never did that. I've never used keywords, but this is a cool way to do it, an easy, simple way to do it. I think for more complex projects, this is very useful. But if you're shooting everything all at once, let's say in the same day, and it's all just coming together for one quick edit, I wouldn't think this is necessary. But big projects, necessary.
So for example, with cameras, these have different log profiles on them, so I have to color grade them differently.
But yes, if you're using multiple different cameras, your color grading process is going to be so much different. Great tip.
So if I select all of my C200 footage, this was shot in Canon Log 2. So if I go into info, I can select the custom C Log 2.
These are actually kind of hidden, but if you select your clip, go to the information, so the eye icon in the top right, go to the extended tab, you'll be able to find these different presets that are already built in to help you grade or at least correct your, of the different types that are already existing.
Final Cut can start to take up your whole hard
I already know what tip this is going to be. This is going to save you so much.
Drive if you let it. One way to prevent it is to change your cache location from inside of the library to the root folder of the main project, and I put it right there so it is visible to me.
Actually, not quite what I expected. So I haven't done that before. I'm going to try it out and see what kind of differences we get.
So to be clear, I never create optimized, and I do create proxy media if I'm working with files that slow my computer down, like the R5, R6, A7S III. All these new cameras really can slow down editing.
I found with the new M1 MacBook Pro, so I've had both the 8 and the 16 gig, and editing A7S III footage really doesn't seem to be that much of a task for these computers.
But the first thing I do when I'm sorting B-roll style footage, and I want to watch every single clip, so you're just kind of checking out what you have. And as you see good moments, you press I, and then when the good part's over, you press O, and now you set an in and out. So if we look over here, there is a...
I see this is a nice, easy way to do this. I always drag all of my clips onto the timeline and basically I call this top and tailing. Top and tail my clips in the timeline so everything's already there. Now, I think it does exactly the same thing. In my opinion, the way I do it is a little bit easier. But of course, you can do it either way.
Good old-fashioned click and drag. Oh, and this kid, he ruined the shot.
I love that. It's not something you particularly notice when you're shooting it. It's when you come back to the editing and it's so obvious. You're like, I could have just shot that again.
Because at the end, instead of viewing all clips, you can just view favorites. And these are just the sections that...
To me, this is exactly the same way as pulling everything onto the timeline and just deleting out of the timeline the things that you don't need. It's personal preference, in my opinion. But bigger projects, I think this is a much cleaner way to do it.
I mean, kind of. This is not the final thing, so we're going to have to delete a lot of this.
This is interesting. I've just realized, unless he just did these tips wrong around, but it looks like he color graded everything first. I feel like in a different video from Tyler I've seen that he says to do all the color grading, color correcting at the end. But I'm not sure if he's just applying his LUT for color correction to be able to pick out all of his shots at the start of his editing on purpose. Tyler, if you're watching, let us know.
When I do videos like this that I'm recording right now, it's one long take of A-roll. And then instead of just starting to cut, the important step is first, I press Option G and create a new compound clip. If I double clip and go inside the compound clip, everything is still there and I can make changes that are now affected all the way through.
So this is an interesting way to do it. I wouldn't typically do that. I would typically, at the end, once I've cut up everything, color grade one shot from the A-roll, and then I would copy that color grading or color correction over to all the other individual clips. That way I'm not trying to color grade a whole 20, 30, 40 minute clip that's inside that compound clip. Preference.
Option left square bracket, and it will trim, a ripple trim, everything before that point.
This is not a shortcut I would use, but I can see how it can be really useful.
This is essential to being fast in Final Cut Pro. If you are not editing this way, you are probably editing much more slowly.
Maybe I will start using it.
And to take that further, I actually go in and I customize all.
So yes, I think customizing your own shortcuts are essential. It looks like Tyler has his. I'm not sure if he has his for sale. I do have mine for sale if you're looking for a really good set. I think there's like 30 customized shortcuts there, but I highly recommend you customizing your shortcuts. Duplicates and snapshots. I don't even know what this is going to entail.
Snapshot project. Now, those compound clips live completely on their own. So
Interesting. That's really important to know, actually. I didn't know that. So Tyler, I'm with you on learning that one recently. I think, yeah, from now on, I'll start using snapshots then, because I'm constantly making changes inside of compound clips. Interesting stuff.
When I'm done editing everything, if it's the kind of project where I can throw the other stuff away.
I don't know if I have the balls to do what he's about to suggest.
Make sure they know if you're supposed to hold on to all the footage or not. But if it's that kind of project where you get to make decisions, you can go and select all your favorite clips here, which is actually not that much footage. Go to File and Send to Compressor, and it will send 8 clips. And
this is like Apple's version of Adobe Media Encoder. I have it, I rarely use, but I see how this is a much more useful way. If you're exporting multiple different clips at the same time, this is the way to do it.
And now it's just going to save my favorite moments of the most important.
This is a really good point. I don't know if you're a stingy filmer. I'm, I guess, what would be considered a stingy filmer. I'm starting and stopping the clip as soon as I have what I think I have or what I need. So I don't have too much unnecessary footage, but there's always going to be unnecessary footage in each shot and clips that you're just never going to use. So I think this is a really great way to be archiving without having to buy terabytes and terabytes of storage just for storage and archiving.
But you've got to be warned, this can break your Final Cut project because now these are new video files. They won't line up with.
So he doesn't quite get into it, but if you export your files or if you move your files elsewhere, essentially what's happening is Final Cut Pro is saying, I don't know where these files are. To me, they don't exist anymore. So you have to relink your files. I think you'll go to File, Relink Files, and then just select the folder where all your files are positioned. And then it'll automatically relink them to sync back up in your timeline.
So I've added some music and voiceover to this clip. But in order to hear it, we're going to have to turn down the music. Instead, I use the R key, which stands for range. I select the range of my voiceover, and I just drag down on the audio.
No way. Are you serious? It's been that easy this whole time. I use that all the time. Man, that's annoying. But really good to know. All right, that was awesome. I think there are, like any of these topics, there are so many other tips out there. These are just a few that obviously Tyler picked out as either his favorites or his most used. So if you guys want some more tips, I'll link a video around this area. And if you have some that you know about, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Do what you gotta do. I've realized we've got the granddad slippers in the shot right now. That's brilliant. Always good to have those. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Perfect. All before 6:30. Great.